All right, everybody. A little bit past 7 here. And we're going to do Robert Monroe's Ultimate Journeys, chapters 16, 17, and 18, and see what we can do today. All right, it's cold up here in the east today. Feels like a winter day, so I got my jacket on. Out of New York, Juice. And not much to report over here besides just being cold and just enjoying messing around with the gateway and also watching the old Explorers series. I'm going through that too right now. All right, Julie, what's going on with you?
What's going on with me? That much. Not much. Not much is going on. Yeah, I was thinking I might switch my. What do you think about this? Switch my efforts up to not be so. Try to do it every day, but maybe 3 or 4 times a week, and then give myself a break for it. I've heard that helps. Susan, you look adorable, by the way.
Oh, thank you. My hair is wet. I had to find something to cover
Oh,
it up.
I like the look.
Yeah,
Anyway,
looks good.
what do you all think? Should I? Sometimes I think maybe I just do. Sometimes I need to maybe have a little bit of break.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I used to allow myself when I first really got heavy into it. I was said, okay, only weekdays. So there were days where I would, I get into it really good, and I would go 2 or 3 times during the week, and even sometimes on weekends when my kids were out of school and my husband was home, so he could, stay in the other part of the house with them. I could do it then too. But yeah, I think it's good to give yourself a break from it. If you're doing like really intense practicing and stuff, give yourself a day break in between tries or something. See how that goes for you.
I agree.
Yeah. All right.
I just take a break, take some notes on it, and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. But everything's good. We're all good over here.
Great. Thanks, Julie.
Sure.
Hi, Jace. Can you talk?
Oh, let's see what to talk about. Sleeping too much. I need to get a handle on my sleep schedule, man. It's I mean, it's good if I'm being proactive about this stuff, but just falling into bad patterns is not going to be good for me. So I don't know. Nothing new to report. Still trying to get a handle on all the things, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, Jace, sometimes, when we oversleep, we have experiences too. When oversleeping, did you ever have any?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes it's good. It's just once you get past a certain barrier of time, then your body thinks, oh, you're already into another sleep cycle. So you
Yeah.
can really hook your day up. So you have to be careful with that.
Right. Cool. Thanks, Jace. Hi, Susan. What's new? What's new over
Hi.
there? That nice hat on.
Not a lot new. I just realized I only read half the last chapter. I was reading on it earlier, and I got to do something I didn't finish. But I did get the Astara thing to you. That's half of the booklet. So if you can, but my scanner, I realized my scanner's not syncing up with my computer with my Mac now. It's not working, so I had to just take photos of it. But it's it has some interesting stuff in it. But I was lying. I was thinking about y'all. Last night I was lying in bed and I was having trouble sleeping, so I was lying there. I was thinking about the things that I used to practice and play with this, and all the little things that I used to mind tricks. I used to use little mind tricks, and I'll mention those probably Monday or something. Some of those maybe, but I remembered protocol for me when I was going out of body or going to lie down and practice it. I don't know if anybody's ever read any of this. This was stuff I read, some really old stuff about astral projection when I first learned to do it. So my sources were Silver Muldoon and people like that, older books. But I think it may have been Llewellyn. It may have been one of the Llewellyn books that said that it's best not to cross your arms and legs when you're trying to go out of body. and I had to test that out. And I could get out either way, but it did seem to be better if I didn't have my arms or legs crossed. And for me also, I took jewelry. I always take every speck of jewelry off. It just felt right. It felt like I should do that. And there was one more thing. What was it? I don't remember what the other one was. It was just simple little things. There was another book that said, never go out of body if you're lying on your left side. Has anybody ever heard that? Isn't that strange?
I
It was
have
a book.
heard that.
Have you? Well, yeah, when I heard that, I thought, oh, okay, well, I've never tried to go out of body on my left side. So.
Oh, I have. That was one of my successful attempts.
I hadn't, but after that, it was like months after that, after I read that, I was lying in bed one night and having trouble sleeping, tossing, turning. I rolled over on my left side. And when I did so, I didn't move my arm. So my rib cage had my left arm trapped under me, and it wasn't very comfortable, but the vibration started about that time. And so, I didn't care if I was on my left side or not. I went out. So maybe that's not a hard and fast rule. Maybe it's just for some people, maybe if you got heart trouble or something, I don't know. But I got right out off my left side. It wasn't a problem at all.
I know sometimes when I sleep on my left side, my heart rhythm gets in the way because I can feel my heart beating more.
That
so
may
it
be why.
Distracts me.
Yeah, that could be why. I was very surprised that I got out so easy from it. And I thought about it at the time. I thought, is this bad? Because they said not to go out but it was fine. It was okay.
Yeah.
I made it out. It was all right.
Well, you can also try, Susan, right? Put a bed of nails underneath your legs.
I have one of those Shakti mats with all the little spikes that stick up in it.
Yeah.
That would stop anybody.
Jason actually bought one of those bed of nails as an exercise, to help you get out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What, really, a bed of nails?
Well, you actually put them on your legs. You let your legs stay on them, so that way your consciousness keeps attention on that pain a little bit to help you so you don't fall asleep.
That's I've never tried that. I have that Shakti mat. It's not very comfortable under your back, but yeah, that might work. That's a good idea.
Yeah, something to remind you.
Yeah,
not to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Alrighty, thanks, Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Amy. Would you like to do an introduction? Maybe where you're from, if you want to share a story. It's totally optional.
Oh, hi.
There you go. Hi.
Hi, Amy. Hi.
Hi.
I'm completely new to the out of body experience, and I was just wanting to know more about it.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming. This is a good place to learn.
Okay. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, Marty. What's new?
Nothing new. I couldn't sleep last night either. I was trying to do a meditation where you suck in exercise or energy, love and compassion and wisdom and all that from the good spirits, and then loading up flaming arrows and shooting them out to all of you guys. So if you felt some loose, it was from me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, Marty, after the last your great adventures from the last time. So I'm sure you're still flowing from that.
I always feel like that's going to be it. I'll never be able to do it again.
Yeah. Yep. I know that feeling. Yep. Thanks, Marty. Hi, Mikey. How are you? How you doing? Anything new going on?
Good afternoon, guys. Nothing new, really.
Anything you want to share?
Maybe later, please.
Maybe later. Okay, that'll work. Thanks, Mikey. Hi, Steph. Can you talk? If not,
Can you hear me?
oh, now I can.
All right.
What's new, Steph?
Oh, not much. Lots of energies going on though. Had trouble sleeping last night. A lot of stuff going on. Yeah, and then this morning I was in that wake. I had already gotten like 7 hours of nice sleep, and I was mentally alert, physically asleep. I did try wiggling my hand through my hand, and I did both at once, and then I felt kind of silly for flapping my hands around like that, and then I felt my my face, turn, like my muscles all move into a smile because I was laughing at myself. I was breaking trance just from laughing. Gotta be more serious.
Yeah, I had
That's
some
all I got.
weird earlier technical difficulties, so it's a little weird vibe going on tonight. Some other people too having some troubles with different things.
Hmm.
So who
Gotcha.
knows? Who knows?
But you're here now.
What?
But you're here now.
I am? Well, hold on. Let me do a reality check.
Heh.
See. Yeah, you're right. If my finger went through my hand here, then I know the reality check worked for people who do that.
Hi,
All right.
Susan. Hi, all.
Hi.
All right, everybody. Shall we get into chapter 16, the roadside view? All right. The only thing is, make sure I can read my own notes here. Sometimes when my notes go all the way back 3 chapters, I realize I made some errors in my notes here. So, all right. So as we head back to 16 here, it took Monroe many weeks of contemplation to recover from the deep run along the interstate. Okay, yes. So he had to get off different parts of the interstate, and he had to go beyond parts of the interstate that he's never been before in the past chapters. And then remembering that he had to make a turn in another direction to reach his destination. So he's making all these different turns off the main interstate. He also didn't really recover the change that happened to him, which is now permanent. So this permanent knowing of the information that he brought back from the last chapters that usually disappears when he gets back into physical form, well, this information is now staying with him. And then he starts wondering how many other people had experiences like this. Each report would be colored by the individual and the civilization of which it took place. So that's interesting that everyone's experiences will change depending on those circumstances. The missing basic, was now a known, firmly fixed in his mind consciousness, not a belief, a hope, or faith anymore. I keep looking up at you guys here at the top after I read a certain area, and I think that Marty's alien there is waving its hand up for a question. It looks like there's a hand up over in the corner. All right. The known basic, the physical universe, including the whole of humankind, is an ongoing creative process. There is indeed a creator. Who or what this creator is lies beyond the emitter and the aperture. And Monroe has not been there, not yet. So that's interesting that he doesn't know who the creator is yet. And it's beyond, if you guys remember the emitter and the aperture, the part where this whole illusion is coming from, that's being made from, as he considered it the Big Bang, possibly. Monroe then gets into some knowns. So he goes through some of that at this part of the chapter. Monroe can't transfer the known to another human mind. He realizes that. This can only be done through direct individual experiences, which he so strongly believes in, is that everybody has to experience it for themselves. And he'll say that over and over and over. And a lot of tapes and stuff like that too. You got to experience it yourself. There's always so much you can believe from what somebody's telling you. Monroe recalled his meeting with the nameless great being near the aperture. Monroe was incomplete. There wasn't enough of him yet, and he knew nothing of the gifts that were to accompany him through the aperture. So he's still a little confused and wondering what all of these gifts he's got to bring with him before he can pass through. And that's why he came back for, because he has to get more of this. To wink out and pass through the aperture, Monroe needs to become truly one, complete and with a multitude of gifts and experiences in love. And what then? The answer is unknown. What happens after he passes through? Would anybody like to talk about any of this so far? What they think might be on the other end of that when he does pass through? Susan?
I think just more, when he passes through. I think just more, because I don't think through that aperture, I don't think that he's going to, I'm sure that when that's where you pass when you're complete, when everything's complete and we go back through this. Is that correct?
Yeah, when he gets all his gifts and he's complete and whole.
I think that'll be the beginning of his next juncture of his his experience. I think, I don't think that we can know. I don't think God is right behind that aperture. There's some place back there, there's a creator, but probably not right behind there. But whatever is coming up next for him is what's back there. When we get there, that's the next part of our journey.
It could be his fourth book lies in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got to go there and get his fourth book.
You have to channel his fourth book.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So the schedule for his Earth departure is apparently in the 35th century, 3500th century. So we talked about that a lot. The 3000 century and in 3500, between that area is where he went to in the future from the past. And I guess that's where it's all going to finally happen when he's complete. Monroe then wonders and asks a lot of questions on how to make the basic known instead of a belief. So I don't understand why I have that down there. Like, I felt like earlier in the chapter he already knew what the basic was, but then it still feels it's a belief. I don't know. Does anybody want to comment on that? Near the end of the chapter, Monroe says, if he knew with no trace of doubt what I would be and do after I died, it would change him radically. He could now live his physical life to the fullest. So he's just basically saying that, I guess, because that's what information he has from all this that's happened to him of losing his fear of death. And how that would be for somebody else that goes to the Monroe Institute and gets his fear dropped. Or does it on the own, Susan?
Don't you think? Yeah, I think that's what astral projection in general does for people. Even if they, somebody tries and tries and never gets out, but they read and they do go through the practices and stuff, that people are getting out. So just that information alone, takes away some of the fear of death. And then the actual experience, even one for me, the first one I ever had, and that was it. I wasn't worried about death after that. There's no death. We change, we change and we leave here and we drop this vessel and all of that. But in the beginning, when I really wanted very much to make it so that everybody could have an astral projection. And I thought, wouldn't this be amazing for people who are paraplegics, people who are blind? Blind people see out of body. They can see. Deaf people can hear. So I really have always thought that this was just an education that everybody should have.
Right. Joy?
I was just wondering, have you heard of people born blind being able to see out of body. I know that I have read people that develop blindness. They are able to see. Do you know?
I have, and I can't remember where I heard the story or read the story, but I have heard a story about someone, and I think it was more than one person, who were actually born blind, and their first visual experience was astral.
Interesting.
They were astral. I thought that's just, you know, wonderful. How wonderful.
I do wonder though, so if you have no point of reference for like red or blue, would they call them different colors or know the names of the colors? I don't know.
I don't think they would. It would be hard. I wonder how they would describe. I would love to hear someone describe an astral adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to hear their description. That would just be like.
I mean, because physically they have touch, so they can feel the physical body. They can feel objects, so that they have that to associate when they're looking at something. But something like color, you can't feel it, so it's like, I don't know. It's very interesting.
It would just be awesome to talk to somebody like that. I've seen videos online of the people who are colorblind, who get the glasses. Have you seen those?
Yes, yes.
And it's so heartwarming, their reaction to seeing color for the first time. And I assume that it would be similar to that for someone who either was paralyzed or blind or
it's overwhelming for these kids. I've seen these videos. Can you imagine? I feel like that's what it's going to be like when we are able to, well, maybe you have been to astral realms where there's colors that you can't really describe. I haven't, but I know that they're out there, and that I'm sure we would have a similar, like, wow, like just love, you know, just that feeling of awe, honest. I was going to say something else tonight. I can't remember what it was. I was just going to say my younger son, he was, when I was teaching him to separate his laundry when he was, I don't know how old he was, little kid. It was when I found out that he had a little bit of color blindness. He kept putting pink in the whites. Like, honey, that is pink. Why are you putting that in the whites? Because it's white. No, it's not. So I found out he has this little bit of not a large degree, but that seems like the only one I could find that he had. It was so interesting to me.
Before I head to Marty here with her question, I was going to say real quick, I'm colorblind, but I never tried the glasses yet. I'll let you guys know when I do one day.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have to try those, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad colorblind, so.
Wow.
Yep. I haven't tried the glasses yet, though, but I'll let you guys know the day. I'm excited to try them one day.
Oh, yeah.
I want to hear more about, like, to what degree are you colorblind?
Yeah. It's a blue, green, red, basically. But it's shades, mostly shades. So when you do those little dot tests, those little colored, when you see the numbers, I only get like maybe 1 or 2 out of like 10, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So you guys' worlds are more vibrant than mine. That's what I think it is. It's just you guys are more colorful than mine is.
Huh.
Marty?
I was just reading actually last night in Astral Dynamics with, the Robert Bruce book. Who talked about people who had been blind since birth, that he interviewed a guy that said that he didn't actually have a visual sense, but that his ability to like reach out and touch something went as far as our vision goes, that he could extend his feelers really far and grasped, everything that was around him with his touch sense. So that's what Robert Bruce said anyway.
Right.
That's for blind from birth. He said also that people who had become blind could see in astral projection.
Interesting. Mikey?
Someone shared this with me a couple of years ago. And we know that colors are vibrations. Each color has a frequency. And if you can tune yourself to the vibration, you can actually feel the color. Someone shared this many years ago of a blind daughter that they had, and she would put her hands not even on the object, just close enough, and she could actually feel the vibration of the color. Yeah, I don't know if that, I think someone was saying that just now, the vibrations.
Right. Susan?
I have a friend who was, I'm not even sure if he's still alive. This has been a long time ago. He was the founder and the executive director, I think, of the Esoteric Philosophy Center in Houston, Texas, for a long time. His name was William David, and he wrote a book called Sound, Color, and Vibration. It may still be available. That was back in the 70s, so it may still be available. But it was very good, and he was an expert on that, on sound, color, and vibration. What Mikey's talking about, the vibration of color and the vibration of sound itself. Everything is vibrational. So.
And I was going to add to that too, that if you guys ever heard about people who see colors as numbers in their head. Has anybody seen that?
I smell colors.
And they can, yeah, they can see colors as numbers, and they can, smell them too. They can smell colors and stuff.
I smell colors sometimes, and I've done that. Yeah. Yeah,
just type it in YouTube. People who see colors as numbers. It's amazing. They talk about their brain, what's going on in their brain when they do that.
That's really interesting.
The blind. That there's a video out there. There's a guy who's real popular on YouTube who does a lot of videos about being blind. And some people ask him if he lucid dreams and stuff, but they didn't get it out of body about lucid dreaming. And he basically says he has no dreams of seeing, but he does have dreams of smelling and tasting and all the other senses that he has. He's been blind since birth. So there's a difference between somebody who's been blind from birth and who's actually saw a little bit and then went blind. But this person who's really big has never... I'll put a link down in the chat area to him. It's pretty good. I've actually just put it online to somebody else's question once about this guy here. But they didn't talk too much about out of body, so... Julie?
I had not heard about seeing colors as numbers, but I had heard about seeing colors as sound. And it's called synesthesia.
Yep.
Something like that. But I guess shapes and numbers are included in that, as well as smell and color and flavor. I guess it's they've combined it all or whatever under that category. I had not heard of that before, and I can't remember when it was. I don't know if it was, I don't know, a year or 2 years, whatever it was. I had this feeling or something came over me, and I posted something about, I think it might've been a poem, and about seeing, hearing colors and seeing sounds, and someone wrote that, oh yeah, that's an actual thing, and then gave me the terminology. I'm like, whoa, it kind of opens these doors. How much? There's so much. I just feel like we haven't experienced and don't know.
Yeah.
It kind of gives me some excitement for just the future, what we can discover.
It's amazing how some of these things pass us that, like, some of us have heard, like, for like 10, 20 years, and some of us have never heard of it. It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the notes on chapter 16, that's all I have for 16. It was a pretty short chapter. It wasn't a long chapter. So would anybody else like to comment on chapter 16, any part of it?
If I could just add a little to what I said.
Sure, Mikey.
I posted a couple of weeks ago about the resonance. And it was said to me that you resonate with certain frequencies. Now, there's a range of frequencies. In physics, they talk about the frequencies of colors and sounds and so on. But resonation, if you can resonate with a certain color, it don't have to be in the spectrum. It could be a color that is out of the visible spectrum. But if you can resonate like ultraviolet and other colors, like some animals do, you can actually detect colors through resonance.
Hmm.
I was gonna say that explains Jürgen Ziele's experience in the higher realms when he said he says you experience the, you know, when you're coming upon a flower or a tree or whatever, you experience like what it's like to be the flower and what it's like to be the tree. I think because from what I was imagining is that he's on that frequency of that realm, so he can experience sound and experience color, and experience these things on that frequency to a level that, you know, I can't really fathom at this point. But that's what it reminded me of, Mikey, when you were sharing that, is if you're on that frequency, you're going to experience those things that exist on that frequency. I guess it'd be hard to explain when you go there and experience that.
Right.
If I could share again,
Sure.
when I was a child, I projected, well, not very far. I was always afraid to go far. One day, and I saw the ants that ate my mom's roses. And at one point, I tried to follow them. I followed them. At one point, I became very small as an ant. And I actually felt that the leaves that the rose they were taking with them, I actually felt as if it was edible. I felt like it was delicious. And I was down to their size. So I think when you resonate, when you get there, you become like that because you're actually resonating at that frequency. So you become one with the thing.
Right. Right. Tuning into it. Just like the channel, turning into different channels that he talks about. All right, guys. Chapter 17. More work in progress. This chapter, Monroe gets into life beyond and the Earth life system data. And he talks about a small group of people Monroe contacted after they died during an out-of-body experience. And the small group of people that he did try to contact with his father, an engineer friend, Charlie, a pilot and research friend, Agnew, and Dick, his MD friend. So he did try to contact me. He also met his mother, but not during an out-of-body experience. She appeared to him in the front passenger seat of his car as Monroe was driving to work just a few minutes before she died in Ohio. There were others that Monroe contacted too, but he didn't know them as well. What amazed Monroe was none of them were locked into a post-mortem belief system. So then Monroe first tries to recontact Charlie at his cabin by the ocean. Do you guys remember that? Charlie, he made his own cabin by the ocean and all this beautiful scenery and stuff like that. And then when he got there, he was not there. It was like being in a still picture, Monroe said. In the following weeks, Monroe tries to find Charlie, but there was no trace of him. Next, Monroe tries to go to the recuperating room where his father was the last time he was there. But when he gets there, his father's not there either. If you guys remember that, that's where he saw his father. And then he tries to find Agnew, but he was not there either. The last spot that he went to where he was.
Can I ask a quick question on that?
Yeah, Steph.
So in those examples and in the ones I remember from the second book where he's trying to help people go up to heaven basically, and then he loses track of them, every time they phase up, he can't follow. In my experience, I have no trouble tracking or seeking or following. Does anyone else have experience one way or the other?
It's the same. I've never had any trouble finding anybody. I noticed a difference between myself when I go out of body and the things that I've done, and Monroe. I know that Monroe said he waits for a rote or something that tells him where, you know, it's like a direction thing as to where to go. And when I just go out for fun for myself, I direct where I go. So, you know, I know where I'm going to go. But when I started going out of body to help the people who had had accidents or, you know, in natural disasters or whatever, people that were crossing over or not crossing over for whatever reason, you know, when I've always relied on instruction for that, but it's not any kind of instruction that I can say that I heard words or anybody pointed me in a direction or anything. It's just a knowing. It's like I go out and there's a sense of where a direction that I need to go, and I'll go so far, and I'm always watching to see what's going on around me, but I always have a sense of when I arrive at the right place. And it took me a while to learn that, because there were times when I wasn't sure, but I liked that Monroe got his instruction, and he did such a good job of documenting everything that he experienced, you know, even down to that, into his instructions, and all of this is so completely. I was never able to do that. I just get out and go, you know, and I could talk about it later because I always remembered it clearly. But the fact that he got these clear instructions and he waited for them, and he, you know, it was very something a man would do, a male brain would do.
I was just thinking that too.
Yeah,
Like maybe the common element here is actually
a very male thing to do. Yeah, to keep that kind of meticulous records and do everything step by step and by the book, and go through a process, you know, and as opposed to people that I've talked to and myself at times when I've gone out and just gone, you know, it's just like, and I feel kind of silly talking about it, you know, some of the silly things that I've, you know, ways that I've gone out and stuff, but I always get to the right place. But I loved how he did this, and I smile when I see what a good job he did, and I just, you know, it's a good thing that was a guy doing that, because all of the astral projection books, most of them that I've read, were written by men. So I think that they keep really good records when they do stuff like this.
Yeah.
And Steph, most people, when people get pulled out and he's taking them different places, it's usually focus 23, and he's trying to get them to focus 27. And during that time, he loses them, and most of the time, or a lot of times, he loses them in the belief systems, religion, and stuff like that. That's what they disappear.
Right. But in my experience, I can track just fine and join up in 27 and hang out for a minute or not.
Yeah. Well, he talks about people like you, too, that can do stuff like this, that came to us, subjects that came to his Monroe Institute, that have an easier time doing stuff like that. So you're lucky, and you're very helpful.
I wonder what his block is. Maybe it's just thinking that it has to be this and that meticulous. And oh, I probably can't get there. I probably don't have permission. You know, some kind of rule set.
I think that he was just supposed to do it that way so that he could write these books for other people.
It could be a time thing. It could be efficiency.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we could let him go in there, but then he's gonna dawdle and like it too much and like spend most of his time there instead of on to the next, on to the next.
Well, the next person he tries to find is his friend Dick. The last time he saw him when he was younger in a deep conversation with two other men, and he was a lot, you know, you guys, if you remember from the earlier books, he was a lot younger, and he was in a deep conversation, and basically he just waved at Monroe and gave him like a thumbs up, like, hey, I see you, acknowledged him. But when Monroe got there, Dick was not there as well. But there were two men there who realized Monroe is a human out of his body and is not dreaming. They've always heard about people like Monroe, but they never met one before, these two men that were in the office. So most of the time they're dreaming. The humans are just up there dreaming and kind of in La La Land. The place where he is at is a spot medical types go to after they die to help them transition over. So that's a spot where he's at now looking for Dick. A place where medical people go to help them transition over after they die.
Sounds like the movie Astral City, if you remember that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The guy was a doctor. He died. It's it's like a conglomeration of a bunch of different real people. But in this fiction, a doctor dies and he goes to a hospital, and they tell him to drink, and he obeys just like a normal hospital until he starts catching on that there's some differences here. Hey, I gotta step out and drive again. This is a really good time slot for Aaron.
Oh,
But I'll keep listening, but I won't be able to check in anymore.
okay, Steph, I was just going to tell you real quick. I have a note on here for you. There's a part of the
Oh.
book tonight that we're going to read where he goes to somebody's creation, like what dreams may come, and a parrot flies over him and poops on his hand, like in the movie.
No way! So
Yep.
that was an illusion for him. Oh, that's so cool.
And he
Yeah.
felt of it.
Yep. So I'm wondering
what?
how many movies came from people reading Monroe's work, or are they channeling this information from other people, or are they getting it from other people?
Where did we hear that Yoda was modeled after the scrungy face of Monroe? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I
Robert
think that was
Bruce.
like Robert Bruce.
Yeah, he's the one that said that.
Oh man. Yeah, it's amazing. I would like to do a review on all of his books and all the movies that relate to this book, to his books. That would be interesting. All right,
thank you
Steph.
for sharing.
Drive safe.
Will do.
Okay, so next they get into the park. If you guys remember, the park is a place to calm down in after the trauma of physical death, for relaxation and decision on what to do next in your life. So he gets into that with these two men that are in the office here. And they give Monroe directions how to get there. He's actually pretty close to the park right now, where he's at in this office. So they give him some directions to get there. As Monroe starts following the directions, walking through the park on its way up to the main section of the park, Monroe could taste and smell as he was walking through the park. I thought that was interesting and important because he says taste and smell are hard of the out-of-body experience, are one of the hardest senses to pick up on. Okay, then a woman by the name of Nevesy greets Monroe when he gets into the park and addresses him as his past life name of Ashanin. She tells Monroe that the park is a creation that is here and will be here whatever your beliefs. It will not disappear even if you don't believe it exists. The park, it's always there. And then Monroe's starting to wonder who created the park. And some human civilization created it thousands of years ago. They are long gone now. The only rule at the park is no imposing one's will upon another. And then before the chapter ends, Monroe says goodbye to Nevesy. And he says it to her in a phrase that's over 1,000 years old. Ta na sen. So she was amazed that Monroe remembered this 1,000-year-old language when he said goodbye to her from the park. And that's the notes I have on 17. Would anybody like to comment? Anything in 17? Anything at all? Anything on the park?
I have been to the park. It's maybe different, but it's a place I'm sure what my guide said, where people go after they pass, and there's a transition, and they're there in this transition period. It's a beautiful place. It's not heaven, quote unquote, but it's a beautiful place, but it's a place of waiting. People are not essentially happy, but they're not sad. It's just they're contemplating their lives. It reminded me of something happened a couple of weeks ago, not a couple of days ago. I was taken to this place with the cars, the vehicles, and each one like had a soul, something like that. And the park is like that. To me, what I got from the park is a place where you go, and it's not your final destination. It's just a spot. You contemplate your life before you move on again. And I did not recognize anyone that I knew from this life, but my guide told me they're all there, they're okay, but they're waiting. And I could not stay very long. I don't understand. He did not say why. He said, but you can't stay here very long. And he was just walking me away from, I just took a glimpse, and he was just walking me away from it. And I just came out of it.
Wow, Mikey. That's cool. I was going to ask Susan what your idea is on the park. I was wondering, have you ever visited it? The way he describes it, Monroe?
Yeah. It's a little bit different for me, but it's the same place that he's describing. And I've gone there actually to speak. I've made myself go there before just to speak with a woman who appears to be either a guide or something to me. She's always there when I go there, and she is always sitting on a little bench by this beautiful little crystalline stream. It's very beautiful. And I'll go in with just one question, usually something that I'm having a problem with or something that I need some clarity on. And I can sit down beside her and just discuss that question and just come away with clarity. But it's really beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful spot. It's, I understand why, that was created and it's there, but I have seen it. I have been there. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Susan. I'm pulling up chapter 18 here, the last chapter of the night, called The New Direction. So it looks like Monroe wonders how he can organize all that he had experienced into such a shape that it could be absorbed and put into practice by others. Monroe gets into how he started the program Lifeline, a program to help living humans search for loved ones no longer living. The first Lifeline program took place at the Institute in June of 1991. After 14 months and many 6-day intensive seminars, almost all visited the park, and many also knew they would survive physical death. So that's a pretty good experience. Then Monroe gets into it for a little bit here, what the Lifeline has to offer people who do the seminar. And he also has a note here. It's 50% off if you use a special code right now for Lifeline. No, I'm just joking, guys. And now we start getting into the focus levels. One of the hallmarks of these methods and techniques is the use of the term focus level to indicate and identify, in a convenient and easily understood way, a particular state of consciousness. And a lot of people have talked about focus levels and get confused and have a lot of questions about it. And they're, I think, a pretty good way of of using that for figuring out different consciousness levels. So I just made a few notes here on a few focus levels. Focus 3 is mind-brain synchrony. Focus 10 is mind awake, alert, body asleep. Focus 12, state of expanded awareness. Focus 15, state of no time. Focus 21, the edge of time-space, where it's possible to contact other energy systems. Focus 22, where humans still in physical existence have only partial consciousness. And he talks about stuff like that too, with like alcohol and drugs for 22. Focus level 23, a level inhabited by those who have recently left the physical existence, but who have not been able to recognize and accept this, or are unable to free themselves from the ties of the Earth life system. So they're stuck in Focus 23. Focus 24 through Focus 26. This covers the belief system territories. That's where a lot of people can get lost on their way up, what we were talking about earlier. They just disappear. Focus 27. Here is the site of what we may call the reception area or the park. Focus 27. Focus 28. Beyond not only time, space, but human thought. Focus 28. Focus 27. I go back to here. You can create your own personal space, which you can return to at will. So that's pretty cool. That's what I think some people we talked about earlier, where they created their own spaces. And people in the Lifeline program too. I remember Monroe talking about that. You can create your own space during the Lifeline and go back to that. Once you're familiar with these focus levels, you can assist those no longer alive and help them out. So now the Institute starts getting into this with the Lifeline program. Focus 27, and where you can be greeted by loved ones no longer in the physical existence. And then he gets into options available to new arrivals. Talks about that for a while. When people of Lifeline gather enough info on dead persons here on Earth, the Institute goes through a verification or validation check to see if they can help out, which I thought was that was pretty cool. Susan, you'd be good for that. For the Institute, that is. But I know you're doing a good job by yourself there. Participants may find past life selves who remain in Focus 23 or are stuck in belief systems from Focus 24 through Focus 26. So you can find your I theirs that are stuck. You can help your I theirs out.
What's the number for making your own space again?
Focus 27.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Some people who died have been waiting 2 to 3 centuries or more for help that are stuck. Wow.
Yeah.
And then Monroe starts to get into some retrieval stories on how people being helped who died and get lost. He gets into a lot of stories there, which some are interesting. Rob?
Hello, guys. Sorry I'm late. I just wanted to tell
That's
you
okay.
I found the archives I told you about, where the Bob Monroe itself tells you how to get into the focus levels. And well, you can contact me so I can get you a link to all of you so you can download it and try it for yourself.
Okay, and Rob, you could put that in the chat area if you want, the link.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just give me a few minutes. I'm gonna find the link because I didn't save it.
Okay.
But don't worry, give me 10 minutes and I'll post it.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks, Rob.
Okay.
Yeah, throw it down in there and we can all grab it if we need to.
Okay.
Thank you. During the Lifeline program, a lot of people who are helping, that are experimenting and starting to help other people who've died and that are lost, it can become very emotional. but you really don't show your emotions as much until you actually come back to your physical body. Then it kind of all pours in on you from the experience of the lifeline. Susan, I was going to bother you on that. I was wondering what you thought about that.
For myself, when I come back in, sometimes there's a strong emotional charge still from the situation, whatever the situation was. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes it's just like, that's, I've done it, you know, job done, and move on. But you know, I understand what he's saying, because it could, you have to, I mean, you have to be unemotional when you're actually in there trying to help someone. You have to be the only emotion that I think that I've taken compassion and a sense of humor, and those two things usually serve me out there. And humor, believe it or not, humor works really well when you're trying to convince someone sometimes what happened with them. Sometimes humor just, it puts them at ease, and you can do something so off the wall and so silly that they even find it silly, you know, and then they find their situation silly, and they understand that something's not quite right, and so they listen to you, and then they understand, you know, they start to know then what's happening.
Right. Thanks, Susan. Mikey?
I started to share this the last time, but one of the most difficult time I've gone through is meeting a woman who had passed in childbirth. It was traumatic. It was terrible. For days, I could not eat. And I started to share the last time. And it was, she came to me and she was just saying, I want to give my child my breast. I want, she's crying. And it was so painful to me. She was just showing me, and she's saying, she's screaming, I want to give my child the breast, my breast. And my child is screaming. And it really, the vibrations is crazy regarding that. There's another one, Focus 23. I met a spirit, and she was murdered. She was murdered on a beach in one of the islands, and I came across the spirit, and she bothered me for a long while until finally decided to speak to her daughter. Finally, she got a closure, and she moved on. But it's really, really painful for me, that is, meeting people who has passed on. And I don't want to do, I prefer to do something else, really.
Yeah, Mikey, that's what Monroe said too. He wasn't really cut out for that work as well. Susan?
I seem to be, because it doesn't bother me. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I look forward to every new experience with someone who needs help, who's trying to pass, or trying to get out of a situation. I absolutely love it. I have no problem with it. It doesn't affect me emotionally on this level. When I come back, I feel it. I can feel what's happening there. And it's often very serious emotions and confusion and so many things that go on, you know, with these people. But I seem to be geared for it. It seems to be something that I was just born to do.
Right.
And it's really, it's my favorite reason to go out of body. It is my favorite thing. And it's you know, I just, that's what I live for, to do that.
I hope to get there one day, Susan. I'd love to help out like that too.
Yeah.
So Monroe says here that you want to try to help people get from Focus 23 to Focus 27, but they can get lost in belief systems on their way there. He mentions that again. And then Monroe gets into some reviews of the participants of the Lifeline program. So there's all of these people that have done this in the past and wrote a review about the Lifeline program. You can read those in the book there. There's a lot of different ones. Pretty nice. Some long, some short. And then I put down here, someone that attended the Lifeline says, a piece of me now exists on Focus 27. There's no more question in my mind where I go when I die and what I will be doing the rest of my life. And then the Monroe Institute has a growing file of participants' accounts of the retrieval experiences. So they have this big file on all of this. I'd love to read that. Many find out when they return home after the Lifeline program, the 6-day intensive, that they continue with the process, usually during sleep. They'll continue this process of what they learned. Outside the context of the program itself, many of the reports may seem to stretch into the realms of fantasy. He does mention that there. And then at the end of the chapter, Monroe talks about some events between Focus 23 and 27 from his Lifeline course. He gets into some more stories. So if you really enjoy hearing stories of people being helped when they die, this is a chapter for you to read. And if you're interested in the Lifeline program, this is a chapter for you to read. And those are the notes I have on chapter 18. Would anybody like to comment on anything? Questions?
I didn't raise my hand.
Oh, it's okay, Susan. Nobody's.
In the Lifeline program, that's something that they have through the Monroe Institute that people can actually learn to do.
Yes.
That's interesting. Yes,
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I got halfway through that chapter and I was busy a while ago and I forgot to read the rest of it, but I read that part.
Right.
Yeah,
that's one of the big ones, and you have to have attended another program to do the Lifeline program. So you'd have to do like the Gateway or an out-of-body one or something prerequisite for it before you could actually join the Lifeline.
Yeah. No, I've been doing this. I think I started the rescue part, or the astral EMT is what I call it.
I like that.
I was I think I was about 34 when I first started doing it, and it's gone on till today. So it's been, that's a lot of years. That's over 30 years to be doing that. And I would, anybody that's interested in that and it can go through that program, wants to do that, try it. Yeah, I recommend it. I mean, if you're geared for it, it's a wonderful way to serve.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Susan, for doing that too. I would love if I was in that other world and you came and helped me out. I'd be grateful. Yeah.
I'm still struggling with the quick switch. I've been trying to grasp that. Can someone explain the quick switch method that he used?
He doesn't really elaborate on it too much, but it's something he learned when he got more experience. And I don't know for sure, but I thought it was something he possibly learned from KT95, his old home, that he learned that technique.
Yeah, he spoke about an elastic. I saw a video, and it's like pulling a rubber band and letting be in there on the other side. But that's all I got on it.
Yeah. Anyone else? All right, so we'll get into any topic, out-of-body topic. Does anybody have anything they would like to talk about? Susan?
He spoke in the book a bit about belief systems, and I think their effects as to where you go after you leave this place. You know, your belief has everything to do with it. Religious beliefs are particularly heavy, deep beliefs that really do steer you after you pass away. So you want to, you know, if you're comfortable with your religion and you're comfortable where they say you go, you know, that's fine. You'll go there, you'll see it, you'll be and do all of that for a while, but it won't last. And then you'll go on where you're supposed to go, you know. But belief systems are very strong strong thing. And I've found that in so many people that have trouble crossing over, it always comes down to something that they have believed that you know, either they don't know that they've passed away, or their belief system has them so afraid that they're going to stay here because they're afraid they're going out, they're going to be judged and they're going to hell, or they're going to whatever, or that there's absolutely nothing out there because they didn't believe in anything anyway. So they stay right where they are when they pass away, and they may stay there for several hundred years. The oldest person that, I mean, the farthest back I think that I've dealt with someone who was still trying to accomplish a task, a physical task, was from the Revolutionary War in America. That was 17. That was over 200 years ago, 250 years ago, something like that, 240 something years ago. It was a courier or whatever who was trying to get a piece of, I mean, a written dispatch to somebody in Washington, and you know, to Washington, rather, I'm sorry, to Washington, and he wanted me to do it, and you know, wanted to give it to me because he'd been trying for all this time. He was trying to deliver it, and he was reaching all these dead ends because he couldn't. He was dead. And I didn't take it from him. I should have. I wish that was an early experience, and I should have just said, "Give it to me. I will deliver it for you, and you go on home. You know, you know, you've tried long enough. You go on home," and helped him with that. But I didn't. You know, I tried to explain to him why he didn't need to give it to Washington anymore, and why he needed to go on, and so that was a learning experience for me because he didn't quite understand that. I wasn't explaining to him what had happened to him, but it was a learning experience for me to try to navigate that with this guy. But it was just so strange because it was so long ago, to have someone still trying to deliver a communications to someone in a time of war.
Right.
And they will do it. Yeah.
Wow.
Soldiers, especially, soldiers are so duty bound, and have such a strong sense of what they've been trained to do, that I've watched them just die on a battlefield, modern times, Civil War, wherever, watch them die and stand right back up out of body and just go about trying to do what they were doing, and stay there and stay there and stay there. And it's, you know, it's frustrating to see that they do that, but they're soldiers, you know, they are soldiers. The strangest one I ever saw was on a Civil War battleground. I was floating above it, and there was a regiment below me, and all of them, this was just a horrible scene. And it was the first time that I had fully had a sense of smell, color, sight, hearing, smell, everything. The smell of blood on that ground was horrible, even up where I was above the tree line. But I watched these people all fall, and the battle was moving on a little bit beyond them. And somewhere off in the distance, there's a bugle call. I knew that it had to have meant to regroup or whatever, fall in line and march. And all of these people, and some of them weren't dead yet. Most of them were already dead on the ground. Some of them were in the process of dying, but they sat up out of body, stood up, they fell in line, and they marched toward the sound of that bugle because they were soldiers. And even after they died, and in the process of dying, they heard that bugle and they answered that call and they kept going. And that's really frustrating. Yeah. That's really frustrating. I'm a pacifist. You know, I don't like the battlegrounds and stuff, but I've been at so many of them. It's just, it's ridiculous. And it's always the same. It's always that. But soldiers are so duty bound, and they're really hard. It's very hard sometimes to convince them to either go on, that they're not on duty anymore, that they're not. Yeah, it's really hard. And it's very sad to me. Those are people's children. You know, those are children. Right. They may be men, but they're young men, and they're people's children. And it's very sad to me that they have such a hard time with that sometimes.
Right. Thanks, Susan. Mikey?
I have this question. It's something that bothers me all the time. Happened today. I was driving out, coming out of the ferry, and I got like maybe 2 or 3 seconds where I wasn't there. Does this happen to you? You go somewhere and just you're about to come out of the vehicle, the car, the train, whatever, and it's like you're not there for a while, and then, oh yes, I'm there. I discovered that this evening again. I was coming out of the ferry and was like, oops, and then I'm there.
Yeah. It startled you? Did it startle you?
I'm scared sometimes because it's like for 2 or 3 seconds, I'm not in the ferry. I'm somewhere, and then I'm in the ferry again. I'm coming out of the ferry.
I've done that. I know it's startling because it's like, who was driving the car or who was doing when I wasn't here? What was going on? Even if it was just a few seconds, it's very startling.
Yeah, I've done that too, Mikey.
Yeah.
It's amazing what our brains can do. All right, guys, I'm going to pull up, let's see here. So for Monday, we got one chapter left, chapter 19, taking time out, and that's it. And then there's a few things after that, if you want to get into the Monroe Institute he talks about at the end of the book. He also has research papers and reports you can go over. And then he has an area called Going Home series. So I'm just going to put all that together for Monday with chapter 19. And then we can talk about anything as we do the final discussion on the book. And then after that, I'm going to pull the CIA files together on the Gateway program. And whoever's interested, I'll get that information out on the Facebook sites and stuff. Review those, and then we can talk about those while we have these books fresh in our head and see how it relates to these release reports. What's that, Mikey?
Sorry, guys, I'm traveling again. I'm on the ferry. I would not be.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Well, enjoy the ferry ride.
I was gonna asking if you know something about the Going Home series, because I have I have here the archives, and it's divided in 2 parts, one for the subject and one for the support. So well, this definitely means it's well, you have to do it with someone, right?
You mean the part in the book?
Yeah.
I don't remember, tell you the truth. It's been many years since I read it. I don't even know if I read it at the end of the chapter, but you're saying it has to be done with somebody else?
I'm asking if that's the case.
Oh, I am not sure on that.
I still haven't read that one exactly. I'm actually a little behind. But that Going Home series, I have the audios here, and it's divided into, how do you say it, into parts, one for the subject and one for the support.
Oh.
So I'm assuming you're gonna be needing one partner, right?
Let me zoom down real quick here. Let's see. Oh, it's just 2 pages on it, so he must just be talking about it. It's a learning exercise cassette tape on it or on a CD. So, so basically, for Monday, you can just read through what he says on here on the 2 pages, and then if you have more experience on it, Rob, you could add to it on Monday.
Okay.
From what you learned from the audio cassettes, from actually doing it yourself, would be nice to share with everyone. Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome.
Thanks everyone tonight for sharing and coming. And I hope to see you for the final discussion on Monday. Good night.
Yeah, Monday.
Good night.
Night.
Night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
My pleasure.